Hello and welcome, Adam's children, to this week's sermon where I, your faithful Rad King, have prepared a list of all the rifles left out by my first remaster video. These are rifles that are bolt action, lever action, or generally used for long distance engagement. But some others squeaked in here too because the weapons of Fallout are anything but straightforward. So turn up the rads and put up some targets as we go through the rest of the rifles in the Fallout series. Again. Although the name hunting rifle has been used before in Fallout 2 and Fallout Tactics, I won't be talking about those hunting rifles in this video because they are semi-automatic and I covered them in my Rifles Remastered 1 video. So since I like to move through the games in their chronological release order, I'm about to do the unthinkable and kick this list off with Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. I know, I'm feeling extra spicy today. The hunting rifle is a non-scoped bolt-action rifle that the player can acquire in Carbon, which is the town in Chapter 1 of the game. It does a respectable amount of damage, but is outclassed fairly quickly in the mid to late game. Although better than the homemade rifle, which isn't saying much, the weapon looks like a generic bolt-action rifle, resembling something like the Winchester Model 70. With not much else to say on that front, let's look at the next game we see the hunting rifle in. Good old Fallout 3. The hunting rifle of Fallout 3 is in pretty rough shape, being held together with wire, duct tape, metal strips, and somehow still managing to fall apart. Don't let the appearance fool you though, because the hunting rifle is a robust weapon that is effective in the early to mid game and has slightly above average durability. Fallout 3 doesn't have true iron sights. Aiming in just zooms in a tiny bit, and although the rifle is yet again without a scope, it has the best zoom of all the non-scoped weapons. This is made even more impressive by the fact that the weapon has no rear or forward sights. And maybe this is what causes the rifle to have lower than expected accuracy, especially if your character has a lower small gun skill. There is one unique variant in Fallout 3, Old Painless, that is better than the vanilla hunting rifle in almost every way. Damage, rate of fire, and required AP. It is a little less durable though, and is acquired from none other than our brave Commander-in-Chief, President Dave. The rifle is stored in Dave's safe, and he has the only key. Dave will give the player the key early on if they pass a speech check, or later if the player completes the Election Day quest. Two interesting points about this weapon are that the weapon will always be considered stolen by everyone else but Dave. Maybe they don't think the Lone Wanderer worthy of taking Dave's rifle. Dave also relates a story about how he lost his hunting rifle while hunting mirelurks, but this seems to be a lie to convince the Lone Wanderer to find a hunting rifle and give it to him, since he, obviously, has a superior rifle stored away. The name could be referencing the weapon used by Blaine Cooper in the original Predator, a minigun named Old Painless. But maybe there's also an older reference to a more rifle-like weapon and not, a freaking minigun. The hunting rifle in Fallout 3 is not an exact representation of any rifle, although again, it might be the closest to the Winchester Model 70, although there are subtle differences like the length of the foregrip and differently angled bolt handle. It is also worth noting that the rifle is chambered to shoot the same .32 caliber round that is shot in the .32 caliber pistol, and this round appears to be the .32 caliber Smith & Wesson round. There are no rifles that fire the .32 short, and this is likely a decision made to keep things simple, since .32 caliber ammo is very common in the early game and therefore could be used for either a pistol build or a rifle build. The hunting rifle from Fallout 3 shows up again in Fallout New Vegas in the same exact form, but like many things, New Vegas brought things up a notch. The weapon is a bit more powerful in New Vegas since the Varmint rifle now occupies the low-tier long-range weapon slot. Not only is it more powerful, relatively speaking, since weapons were rebalanced in New Vegas, but it's faster firing, has a higher critical multiplier, but also requires more AP to fire. Most importantly to the gun nuts among you, Obsidian saw to it that the hunting rifle no longer shoots the .32 caliber pistol round, and now it fires the .308. Since Fallout New Vegas uses proper iron sights, they actually added sights to this previously sightless rifle, although the rifle still looks like it is in a pretty dire state. The durability is also increased over Fallout 3 and can fire almost 1,500 shots before needing to be repaired, which actually beats out the sniper rifle in New Vegas. I think this makes the trashed condition of the hunting rifle make a little bit of sense. It is a more durable platform, and therefore it's used for longer, taking more abuse while still working. There are 3 modifications and 1 cut mod that can be done to the hunting rifle. The custom action increases the rate of fire and adds custom spiral threading to the bolt, which is a great touch. The extended mag adds 5 rounds to the magazine and can be seen protruding from the bottom. And finally, the rifle can get a scope. The cut mod that I mentioned was a stripper clip, which probably would have made reloading even faster, but nothing except for a name in the game files confirms the existence of this mod. There are a few unique variants, Paciencia and Boone's scoped hunting rifle. Paciencia was added with the Gunrunner's arsenal and is in much better condition than the hunting rifle. It is not held together with any wire or clamps and has a Mexican flag tied to the stock. The name Paciencia is Spanish for patience, which Josh Sawyer said was due to the smaller 3-round clip that this rifle uses. All other stats are either superior to the vanilla hunting rifle or the same, but most importantly it has bonus critical chance and bonus critical damage. When using supporting perks, skills, and hollow point rounds, Paciencia can do more damage than the anti-material rifle. This sleeper of a rifle is only found at the Gunrunner's Vendortron or sold by Cliff Brosco and Novak. Boone's scoped hunting rifle is only equipable by Boone, unless using console commands or getting lucky with a glitch. Having Boone as a companion and going into a casino where your weapons are taken have a chance to give you Boone's weapon on accident when giving the weapons back. But it only fires companion ammo, which is unlimited and hidden from the player. Dropping the weapon will not allow it to get picked back up. And interestingly, looking down the scope will show that Boone's gun uses the reticle that is used in the Fallout 3 sniper rifle. Some interesting notes about the hunting rifle in Fallout New Vegas is that it is standard issue for the NCR First Recon and is also a common weapon among Caesar's Legion. The hunting rifle scope also has greater zoom than the sniper rifle or anti-material rifle, which seems wrong for some reason. Fallout 4 has the hunting rifle in a new form, but because of the customizable mod system, things get a little complicated. The hunting rifle is an early game weapon and found in plenty at lower levels, especially among super mutants and raiders. It usually has had the barrel sawed off to a much shorter length and the stock removed, just leaving an impromptu pistol grip. It isn't until the hunting rifle is given a proper scope and a long barrel that the name officially changes to sniper rifle, and it is no longer considered a hunting rifle. Although the implications there are kind of weird, and I'm not really going to delve into that. Just know that a magnified sight, a long barrel, and any of the normal stocks are the base requirements for it to transform from a hunting rifle to a sniper rifle. All the common receivers of the hunting rifle are chambered in 308, just like the hunting rifle of New Vegas. However, the player has the option to switch to a 38 caliber receiver, which reduces damage and increases weight for some reason. It can only really be justified because 38 caliber ammunition is a lot more plentiful than 308. Going in the exact opposite direction, the 50 caliber receiver can be equipped, giving the hunting rifle an increase in damage, as well as slower reload times. The number of upgrades are pretty impressive: 10 receiver options, 12 sight options, and a handful of options for the stock, magazine, and muzzle mods. Due to this, the hunting rifle can range from rather anemic damage with low range to very high damage and long range. The Fallout 4 hunting rifle looks most like the Remington 700 when equipped with the standard stock, although the marksman stock actually looks similar to the Fallout 3 sniper rifle stock, but with a raised cheek rest, and has a vague resemblance to the Russian SV-98. There are a few unique hunting rifles: Reba, which is used by Barney Rook in Salem, where he picks off hungry mirelurks. With no effects or a unique look, it is only unique in name. It is the sister rifle of Reba 2, which is a rifle that can be given to the player if the sole survivor helps Barney by finishing the gun run quest. Reba 2 should be classified as a sniper rifle though, since it has a full stock, long barrel, and a scope, and has the Exterminator legendary effect, doing more damage to insects and mirelurks. Both Reba and Reba 2 get their names from the country music singer Reba McEntire, who played a character in Tremors, who fought with large caliber Winchester Model 70 rifles. The Tinker Tom special is sold by Tweaker Tom himself, sporting a silencer and having the Stalker legendary effect, which increases VAT's accuracy. The hunting rifle is popular though, being used by both McCready and Deacon as their default companion weapons. Fallout 76 shows the hunting rifle the same as Fallout 4, giving it even more mods though, like an insane 21 receiver options. Similarly, the weapon will be classified as a sniper rifle after upgrading to a long barrel, proper stock, and magnified sights, but it also gets some paint options like a Vault-Tec, Blackbird paint, or my favorite, a Ghillie paint job, which is a lot more than a paint job and it looks pretty great. There are two unique variants, the Brotherhood Recon Rifle that is identical in stats, with just a unique name that can be obtained from a terminal outside of Fort Defiance, and Doctor's Orders, which can be obtained from the Eviction Notice public event with the Vampire, Crippling, and Ghost legendary effects. Fallout 76 is the first time we get to see a black powder rifle, and this unique weapon can be fun to use. This handsome guy comes complete with a powder horn and an excellent reload animation that sees the player ramming 50 caliber balls down the barrel. Since the reload on the muzzleloader is atrocious, it makes up for it in raw damage output. This is often one of the higher damaging weapons in the early game, able to lay down 150 base damage at level 15. Unfortunately, there is only one upgrade, a bayonet, and due to the long reload and damage scaling, it does not become a viable weapon in the mid to late game. This weapon seems to closely resemble the 1841 Mississippi percussion rifle, which saw widespread use in the Mexican-American War and American Civil War, which is appropriate because it can be found in the Philippi Battlefield Cemetery, which commemorates the first organized land action of the American Civil War. There are two paint jobs, the Pioneer Scout paint, which adds some small logos, and the Flintlock skin, which changes the entire look to an older style flintlock rifle. There is another unused skin named the Pilgrim Muskrat skin, which gives the weapon a blunderbuss look. Fallout New Vegas gave us an altogether different low-tier bolt action in the form of the Varmint rifle. This rifle is immediately available in Goodsprings and fires the 5.56mm ammo, and is a step down from the hunting rifle in almost every way, including having half the durability. The Varmint rifle has a few modifications available: the night scope, whose function I hope is obvious, the silencer, and extended mags, which gives it an extra 3 rounds. With all of these modifications, the Varmint rifle can be a potent early game weapon, especially when attacking from concealment. The rifle is not a copy of any real-world firearm, although there are similarities visually to the Winchester Model 75. But it is interesting to note that the Varmint rifle was originally intended to fire 22 long rifle rounds, but was switched to the 5.56mm before release. Traces of this can be seen in NPCs like Dixon, who is equipped with the rifle, and rather than having 5.56mm in his inventory, he has 22 long rifle rounds. There are no 22 rifles that look similar, but the CZ-455 series of bolt-action 22 rifles have both a version with a thumbhole stock, as well as a version called the 455 Varmint. There is a unique version called Rat Slayer, whose looks differ wildly from the normal Varmint rifle, ditching the wooden furniture for a composite, and coming with a silencer and night vision scope from the get-go. It also took me a moment to realize what this was, but it has a mole rat skull painted on the side with 69 nice tally marks. The Rat Slayer is lighter, does more damage, more critical damage, costs less AP, and although it has a slightly slower fire rate than the vanilla Varmint rifle, still has superior DPS. The critical multiplier is ×5, making it the weapon with the third highest crit multiplier, and increasing your critical chance through skills and perks can guarantee a critical hit with each shot. It is only found in the Brock Flower Cave, a location that is crawling with giant rats. If the Wild Wasteland trait is enabled, then the player will also encounter the rodents of unusual size, which are a bigger threat than normal rats. Fallout 3 did something that I'm surprised was not done in earlier titles by giving us the first lever action rifles of the series in the Point Lookout DLC. Having to cycle each round hurts the rate of fire, although the player can still fire impressively quickly, but it makes up for this by doing good damage with a high critical multiplier and even better spread than the hunting rifle. Unfortunately, the lever action has low durability, only able to fire 250 times from full condition. It also fires 10mm ammo, which is a very strange round to fire since it is only ever used by pistols and the 10mm submachine gun. A really interesting effect that the lever action has is that it will do an extra 35 damage, which almost doubles the damage output when it is used by NPCs against the Lone Wanderer. That effect does not benefit the player when using the lever action, and is part of the reason why the swamp folk can hit so damn hard. The lever action rifle is a very close copy of the Henry 1860 rifle, with some changes like a wooden handguard, the size of the lever, and position of the rear sight. The backwater rifle is a unique variant of the lever action rifle that looks the same, but does a bit more damage and critical damage, and is only attainable by completing the Velvet Curtain quest and looting it from the Chinese intelligence bunker. Due to the high critical multiplier, this weapon can be very effective with high luck builds. Lincoln's Repeater is another unique lever action rifle based on a real-life Henry 1860 that was given to Abraham Lincoln. It is more powerful than any other lever action, firing 44 caliber rounds, and that is interesting to note because the original Henry shot a rimfire 44 round. So while it's not the same exact round, that is much more forgivable than the lever actions chambered in 10mm. The rifle looks fantastic, with a gold-mounted receiver like the real-world Lincoln rifle, with nice engraving details. Although the rifle is the hardest hitting of all the lever actions, it has a low critical multiplier and lower rate of fire. But then it also has the highest ammo capacity of all the lever actions, and most notably, zero spread, which is something only a few weapons in the game can claim. It is obtainable in the Museum of History, usually as part of the Lincoln's Profit Margins quest, where some of President Lincoln's historical artifacts can be turned into different NPCs with different effects. Giving it to the slaver Leroy Walker will lead to him destroying it. The slave Hannibal Hamlin uses it against the slavers, and Abraham Washington, the one in charge of the Capitol Preservation Society on River City, will put it in his museum. Rather appropriately, New Vegas expands on our lever action selection, giving us some truly great options. Let's start with the Cowboy Repeater, an easily attainable rifle that is quite capable in the early game, and it gets even more deadly should the player invest in the Cowboy perk for an extra 25% damage. Shooting 357, Josh Sawyer himself stated that the weapon is loosely based on the Winchester Model 1892, which it is very similar to with small differences. The Model 1892 was chambered in many rounds, none of which was or approximated the 357 that the Cowboy Repeater uses, but the Winchester Model 1873, which is commonly called the rifle that won the West, was chambered in 357 Magnum. There are 3 mods for the Cowboy Repeater: the Maple Stock, which decreases the weight by 1.5 pounds, a long tube, which adds 4 more bullets to the magazine, and the Custom Action, which increases the rate of fire by 20%, which is nothing to sneeze at. The maple wood texture looks nice, and the Custom Action has excellent intricate designs, and both of these really spiff up the Repeater, who is otherwise rather tame looking. The one unique variant, La Longue Carabine, looks quite different and is better than even a maxed out Cowboy Repeater. It does more damage, has a higher rate of fire, a higher critical multiplier, higher critical damage, and lower spread. It also comes with an older style scope, an octagonal barrel, etching on the stock, and does not have the loading gate from the Cowboy Repeater, meaning it must be reloaded through an opening in the magazine tube near the muzzle like the Fallout 3 lever action. This weapon is used by Corporal Sterling, who is a member of the NCR's 1st Recon. Although the rest of his unit used bolt-action rifles, he was given permission to use his rifle as long as he could hit the targets, which he obviously did. The name is a reference to The Last of the Mohicans, a personal favorite of mine, as the name La Longue Carabine is a nickname for the main character, Hawkeye, aka Natty Bumppo. The trail carbine is a capable weapon, hitting harder and firing faster, and with much higher critical damage, lower spread, and much higher durability than the cowboy repeater. Shooting 44 caliber rounds, the rifle is a super solid mid-game weapon, and depending on the build, can be used effectively in the late game. The rifle is a close approximation of the Marlin Model 336, and only has one mod, a scope, but there are also two cut mods. The steel forged receiver is one of the cut mods, and although there is no information, likely would have increased the weapon's durability. There also would have been a custom stock, which would have given the rifle a different and fantastic looking stock, and probably would have made the weapon lighter, similar to the cowboy repeater stock modification. A random fact is that there is a version of the trail carbine in the Lonesome Road add-on that cannot be dropped. The brush gun is the trail carbine's big brother and looks essentially identical except for an added buttstock cover. And hey, isn't that the same wood pattern from the cut mod on the trail carbine? Well, I guess we know where that went. The design takes inspiration from the Winchester 1886 and Marlin guide gun. The weapon fires the large 40-70 government round and packs a huge punch. Compared to the trail carbine, which was already a step above the cowboy repeater, it is a very large step up. With a big increase in damage, it has slightly lower capacity, rate of fire, and requires more AP to fire, but it's worth it, as it is the highest damaging weapon that uses the 40-70 round, so it uses this rare ammo the most efficiently. The brush gun can get a modification as well, the forged receiver, which increases the durability by 50%, which is a big help because the weapon's durability is kind of middling. The White Legs and Honest Hearts can commonly be found using these, as can the Lobotomites in Old World Blues, but it is also a preferred weapon among veteran NCR Rangers. This beast of a weapon is on par damage-wise with the anti-material rifle and has one variant introduced with the gun runner's arsenal, Medicine Stick. Medicine Stick is a little better in almost every way. Higher damage, faster firing, and higher capacity, but taking a hit to the durability, which is substantially lower. It also looks a lot different, with a stainless steel receiver and barrel. The wood is also lighter in color, and the buttstock cover doesn't have small pockets for ammo. Instead, it has a medicine wheel sewn on. We don't know why the rifle is named Medicine Stick, nor do we know why it looks the way it does. But seeing as medicine sticks are used ritualistically in many Native American groups, the rifle might have been previously owned as someone of Native American descent. Fallout 4 is the next time we see a lever action rifle, and of course, in true Fallout 4 fashion, it is a, surprisingly, modular platform. Introduced in the Far Harbor DLC, this rifle is also chambered in the newly introduced, to Fallout 4 anyway, 45-70 government round, just like the brush gun from Fallout New Vegas. Although it shoots the large and relatively rare 45-70, in its base form, it deals a surprisingly low amount of damage. However, with 9 receiver options and several barrel, stock, and sight options, the lever action can be made to hit as hard as one would expect from shooting such a large bullet. The lever action seems to be inspired by the Marlin Model 1895G, which is chambered in the 45-70 government round, so here's a rare win for Bethesda in regards to guns. One unique version is Old Reliable, which will come with a suppressor but no stock, so it makes for a funky looking lever action. It also has the 2-shot legendary effect, shooting an additional projectile, making it pretty strong, and is bought in Acadia. The other unique legendary is Lucky Eddie, which will be given to the player plus 2 luck when equipped. It can only be received from Alan in Far Harbor as a reward for siding with Far Harbor and destroying Acadia. The lever action rifle is used as the default weapon for Old Longfellow, and this rifle has some quirks. Like for instance, the magazine tube will get longer when upgrading to a longer barrel, but it won't actually increase your ammo capacity. Also, when reloading, no matter how many shots you have fired, the reloading animation will always load the full number of bullets required to fill the magazine. And come on, Obsidian figured this out several years before Fallout 4. The lever action appears in Fallout 76 in the same form as in Fallout 4, but yet again with a lot more mod options. The rifle is quite powerful, and therefore will only spawn after level 50, and even then, will not be a particularly common weapon, making it difficult to scrap to obtain plans for mods. The rifle now fires the 45 round instead of the 45-70, which is a common round, making ammo acquisition a bit easier, but it also has all the same issues that the rifle had in Fallout 4, and weird quirks, like the mods that increase rate of fire, only working in first-person view and not in third-person. There are two unique versions. The Soul Survivor, which is a cool-looking rifle that is quite worn and equipped with a silencer and scope. It has "This is not the end" written on the side, with 29 tick marks, likely marking kills. The name may be a reference to the protagonist of Fallout 4, who shares the same name. The other unique variant, Western Spirit, is a legendary introduced with the Nuka World Tour update. It also looks like a toy with a fancy Nuka-Cola paint job. It has the Furious, Hitman, and Rapid legendary effects, as well as a 25% increase in base damage and 2 more rounds in the magazine. There are several paint jobs for the lever action, one of which shows the rifle with a shell holder on the stock, which seems to show the 45-70 rounds the rifle used to fire in Fallout 4, rather than the 45 caliber ammunition that it fires now. The game also pays homage to the Lincoln Repeater in Fallout 3 with a paint scheme that gives it the golden ornate receiver, although it looks much less like the real thing since it is modeled after a totally different rifle. The Dragon is a memorable black powder rifle, only found in Fallout 76, and it lives up to its name by not having 1, not 2, but 4 barrels. This gives the weapon the highest single shot damage of all ballistic rifles, and some sort of voodoo magic causes it to only consume 1 50 caliber ball per reload. Don't ask questions though, because this massive damage output is balanced by a 10-second long reload. Woof. The Dragon's design is based off of this firearm, which doesn't have a known name, but is a 19th century combination weapon, meaning that it was designed with multiple barrels, some of which fired a large ball round, and others which fired smaller ball shot. The barrels would rotate, and only the barrels on top would fire, so this weapon could only fire from 2 barrels at a time. If you look closely at the Dragon, there are wires that lead to the bottom barrel percussion nipples, so in the course of firing, there is some electrical pulse that allows for all the barrels to fire. This is great attention to detail that shows how the Dragon would fire all 4 barrels at the same time, rather than just the 2 barrels on top like the combination gun that it is modeled after. This weapon is not common, but non-legendaries have a chance to drop from some strong enemies like honeybeasts or wendigos, or sold by some vendors like the Free States vendor or the vendor bots in Watoga. 1-star legendaries can be found at the Watoga High School smart machines, but 2 and 3-star legendaries are considered legacies. Fallout New Vegas gives us the daddy of all the long-range sniping rifles, the anti-material rifle. The weapon automatically comes with a scope and is chambered in 50 caliber, and is the only rifle to use that round in the whole game. The weapon is a very close representation of the PGM Hakat II, which is the standard anti-material rifle for the French army. Josh Sawyer is on record as stating that he was tired of the over-representation of the 50 caliber Barrett anti-material rifle in games, and this led him to choose the Hakat as inspiration. I do like to think about what the implications are for the Fallout world though, since a French design seems to be more popular than the American equivalent. A moddable version was added in the Gunrunner's arsenal and can accept 3 mods: the custom bolt, which increases the fire rate by 20%, a suppressor, and carbon fiber parts, which will reduce the weight by a rather astonishing 7 pounds, which is needed because this 20-pound beast is the heaviest of the shoulder-fired weapons. A unique variant, Oliver's anti-material rifle, is not equipable by the player unless using console commands, and is only found used by an NCR sniper at the Battle for Hoover Dam. Killing the sniper will cause him to drop a normal anti-material rifle, and the so-called Oliver's rifle has higher damage but a lower critical multiplier. Designed with long range in mind, the anti-material rifle is one of the few weapons with 0 spread. has enormous single shot damage and one of the highest critical hit damages in the whole game. As such, the rifle has the longest range at which a 95% hit chance can be achieved in VATS, and the player is also penalized for firing from the hip, which causes the character to be pushed back a little and suffer from extreme barrel rise. This is the rifle that is shown in the opening cutscene for the game, where the ranger locates and fires on a fiend just outside of New Vegas. And so we have made it to a Fallout series staple, a weapon that has been represented in every single Fallout game to date, including some of the games that never made it to full production. The wonderfully vague sniper rifle starts life in Fallout 1 as the DKS-501, which the game description states is usually chambered in .308, but the one that can be found in-game shoots .223. The DKS-501 is a great weapon, with great damage, fantastic range, and uses a commonly found round. It is therefore balanced by the lowish capacity and high AP cost, especially when using aimed shot. Even though it is a scoped weapon, it doesn't suffer from a close range penalty like the scoped hunting rifle, making it just the all-around superior long-range option. It is represented in Fallout 2 in the exact same way and can be found sold by a handful of merchants or looted from some enemies. It can be a formidable weapon with a high small gun skill and the right perks, especially when aiming for the eyes of enemies, although it gets outclassed by the Gauss rifle in Fallout 2. Interestingly, the weapon sprite is very similar to the Watts 2000 laser rifle. It is mostly identical in shape, and the laser rifle sports extra wires leading to a scope or energy source of some kind on top of the gun. Fallout Tactics features their own sniper rifle, looking completely different from the one in Fallout and Fallout 2, but the description states that it is the same DKS-501 sniper rifle. Now, this is common with Tactics. They often copy and pasted weapon descriptions from Fallout 2, but what is interesting is that they changed the description to say that although the rifle is normally chambered in .308, this one is chambered in 7.62mm, rather than the .223 like in the first Fallouts. The rifle is a complete copy of the H&K MSG-90, which does fire the 7.62 by 51 NATO round, so good job for getting that right. This rifle has the longest range of any options in Fallout Tactics, and therefore is a good choice up until you start encountering the Calculator's robots, whose damage resistance necessitates the use of heavy or energy weapons. Unlike the DKS-51 in the earlier games, this rifle does have a close range penalty, so don't screw yourself by forgetting about that. Fallout 3's version of the sniper rifle is more true to the original form than Fallout Tactics, and this time it actually is chambered in .308. How about that? Fallout 3 can obviously do what none of the previous Fallouts could, by actually giving us a sniper rifle in .308. This is the best of all scoped rifles in single shot damage, boasting a high critical multiplier and zero spread, which is a godsend in a game like Fallout 3. Although its fire rate is rather quick because it is semi-auto, it is balanced by the rarity of .308 ammo, the small clip of 5 rounds, and the deplorable durability, which can only fire 83 times before needing to be repaired from full condition. That is awful. The weapon does not seem to take inspiration from any one source, but could be loosely based off the DKS-501. That, coupled with it being chambered in .308, may mean that it really is the DKS-501, but there is absolutely nothing to confirm this. There are 3 unique versions: the Sim version from Operation Anchorage that has functionally infinite durability, the Reservist rifle, and the Victory rifle. The Victory rifle differs from the vanilla rifle in 3 key ways. It has triple the health, so it will degrade more slowly, it has a chance at knocking down a target on a critical hit, but it also has a smaller critical multiplier. It is found in a very hard locked locker inside the sniper shack, which is an unmarked location, but if you don't have a lockpick skill of 100, Dogmeat can retrieve it for you if you tell him to search for weapons. That wily mutt. The Reservist rifle has a faster rate of fire, 50% more health and lower AP than the vanilla sniper rifle, but only has a 3-round magazine to balance it out. It is acquired by killing the Drifter that can be encountered sniping from the Dickerson Tabernacle Chapel. It is interesting to note that even though the rifle has a bipod, it can never be extended and is instead just used as a foregrip by the player. New Vegas uses the same exact model of sniper rifle from Fallout 3 with altered stats. It is not as hard-hitting as the anti-material rifle, but is more capable than the varmint rifle. Chambered in 308, it can accept a suppressor and carbon fiber parts as modifications, and the suppressor can make it one of the best silenced weapons in the whole game. There are 2 unique variants. The first is Christine's Circle of Steel silenced rifle, which is found in the Old World Blues add-on at the Little Yangtze internment camp. It was abandoned by Christine as she was hunting Father Elijah, finding him in this location. Elijah saw a glint of her scope and used the ghoulified survivors of the internment camp as a distraction, detonating their bomb collars to cover his escape. It isn't clear if she left her rifle on purpose or in a rush to get away from the exploding camp survivors. Coming standard with a silencer and having a slightly different hue from the vanilla sniper, it has a substantial buff to damage, a slightly higher critical multiplier, but requires more AP to fire and fires more slowly. Still, the huge increase in damage and the critical multiplier makes it the most powerful of all silenced weapon options, and the highest damaging weapon chambered in 308, so this is a must for a stealth sniper build. It is also found against the north wall of the Little Yangtze camp, and grabbing the weapon will cause 3 lobotomites to spawn and attack the player. The final unique version is the Gobi Campaign Scout Rifle, which was apparently used in some armed conflict in the Gobi Desert region of China, but that is all we know about the rifle's background. It has an awesome desert camo and stores a maintenance kit in the stock as well. This rifle has slightly higher damage, rate of fire, critical damage, and costs less AP than the vanilla rifle, making it a very solid upgrade, but it can't accept any mods. It is found in the sniper's nest in a very hard-locked gun case, which seems very reminiscent of the Victory rifle from Fallout 3. Fallout 4 and 76 have a sniper rifle in a manner of speaking. Like we covered with the hunting rifle, once a rifle has a long barrel and magnified optics, it is auto-magically considered a sniper rifle. So while there is no officially designated sniper rifle like in the earlier games, the game does recognize and label a sniper rifle when a hunting rifle is modified to a certain point. An actual, original, and dedicated sniper rifle would be very nice though. Now I have a few rifles that need mentioning because they didn't make the previous rifle video, so here you go. Lucky you. The battle rifle was introduced with Fallout New Vegas, doing solid damage with a fairly quick rate of fire and decent AP cost. This rifle is semi-automatic and reloaded via a clip that ejects when the last round is fired. It is easy to see the visual and functional similarities to the M1 Garand, which provided the inspiration for the rifle. The rifle has average durability and can only be found in a few places, like the 188 Trading Post, or sold by the Gunrunners, or sold at Mick and Ralph's. This rifle is an uncommon sight, although there is a weapons manifest at Camp McCarran that mentions a number of battle rifles being requisitioned. There is only one variant, this machine, which does more damage and consumes less AP, although it has a lower rate of fire. It looks mostly the same, except for some fabric wrapped around the rear grip, and most notably, a message etched into the side of the weapon that reads, "Well, this machine kills commies." This is a reference to the artist Wood Guthrie, and more specifically his guitar, which had a sticker saying, "This machine kills fascists." So the rifle seems to be a direct response to Wood Guthrie, although since it is an older 20th century design and does not seem to have been used by the US military during the Sino-American War, would mean that it was used in a much earlier conflict. The M1 Garand participated in conflicts like the Chinese Civil War, Korean War, Cuban Revolution, the Bay of Pigs invasion, the Vietnam War, and the Laotian Civil War, to just name some conflicts that it might have been killing commies in. There is the list, brothers and sisters. I'm glad that you could be here to listen to Adam's word. I want to take a moment to thank all my patrons who heard Adam's call and give me the extra support that lets me be able to make these videos at the pace that I do. If you want to join these wonderful people and play some Fallout 76 with us, you too can support me for $1 or $3. Stay strong, Adam's children. Please, take care of yourselves. And I will see you next week.